Hi, I'm Dorian, and right now I'm going to tell you what you need to do before you go out into the field. So before you go out into the field, you need to make sure you have all your equipment, so including a hat for the sun to protect your face, water, of course, and then for this specific method, the sand trap method, you're going to want to bring your field notebooks, write down any notes, thermometer to note temperature, and then your transect tape, so that way when you measure out the distances between your sand traps, you know the exact distance. Your magnifying glass in case you see any tracks so you can zoom in on them. Your binoculars, so that way in case you see any animals, you can look at them. Calipers, so that way you can measure any of the tracks. And then of course, a bag to bring all your stuff in.
Alright, so I'm out here gonna teach you how to do a sand trap and how to place them, how to measure them out, and so forth. And first thing to note is that when you're putting out a sand trap, you want to make sure you're doing it at a certain time of the day. Now, the time of day right now is about 6:56 p.m. in the evening. Because we want to make sure, depending on the type of data you're wanting to collect, we want to make sure there's the least amount of human disturbance within or surrounding traps. So we want to make sure that we're setting these traps right before sundown during the night when there's going to be the least amount of disturbance within the vertebrate traps. So when you're going to be first setting a sand trap, you want to make sure that you're going to be doing this in a location where it has open spaces, that's ideal for putting down sand, particularly like the area around me, which is a desert landscape. It's going to be easier to throw down a sand trap like so. So I'm going to show you how to make a sand trap. So depending on what type of sand trap and what type of region you're doing the sand trap in, you want to make sure that you have some sand to lay the sand trap. And I would preferably say that you would get sand from the actual area or location that you're going to be setting this trap, like this surrounding here. We've got a bunch of sand that you could, take, and you're not going to put any kind of type of foreign, sediment down that's going to disrupt the other native species and habitats. So first way you're going to want to do when making a sand trap is you're going to want to get your transect, just like this, that's measuring probably about 50 meters. And for this sand trap in particular, out here measuring vertebrate, we're going to measure about 1 or half a meter of, okay, so we're going to measure about half a meter, which is just at the 50 centimeter mark here. And it's great to have a sort of long straight edge here to kind of mark your area in your sandy area, just where you've measured. And then from the meter mark, you're going to go vertically and measure out vertically. So you measure horizontally and vertically. And so now, and then you'll just want to continue that all the way around your sand trap. And then from here, we can kind of eyeball that there. And so now what you're going to want to do is take your straight edge and just kind of comb or smooth the area out like so to get a really nice flat area. And then with your extra sand, you're going to want to kind of just get a nice smooth distribution of just kind of like some thin sand. There's some like silt and small particles like dirt and stuff in here to really make this part smooth. Any type of sand will probably do for this certain trap, but preferably any silt or clay composite, and probably best for getting your footprints.
What I did when I came out here is I came out here the night before, so the sun was to my back behind the hills over there. So what I didn't take into consideration, which is a helpful hint, is to remember that you're going to come out here at different times for the sand trap, because what you do is you deploy it the day before, and then you come back the next day and see what happened. When I did this trap wasn't in the shade. Well, it was all in the shade because of the mountains. But now that I'm out here and I'm here in the morning, I can see that this shade, when I take a picture, you can't tell as much whether or not there's a track. So what you should do is when you come out here, you should think about the sun's directions and its position in the sky for when you're going to collect your data. So also what you want to do is when you have your phone or camera, you're going to want to take the picture of the sand trap before or after deployment the night before, and then after the next day when you come back to collect your tracks. So in order to take a picture properly so we can tell easily, I have to stand over here for the shade so that way we can see whether or not there's tracks. When you come out here and take pictures for your sand trap method, you're going to want to use a measurement of reference so you can see how big these tracks are going to be. And you're going to want to use your phone or a camera so that way you can take pictures of it. But what you want to do is you might want to take it from different angles so that way you can see the tracks, and depending on how you look at it from the viewpoint or perspective, you might not be able to see the track in your picture. So, because you already know what area you're using, so you want to be able to tell the difference, but you also can use comparisons between the pictures before and after to see whether or not there was a disturbance. So when you're out here, you're going to want to be very observant, a little bit more observant than if you were usually, because you're going to want to see that just because you're doing your trap in a certain area doesn't mean that you're going to get the data that's actually here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to look for other evidence of animal presence. So for here, for example, there are tracks from a month or two ago from a bighorn sheep, and so this tells you that there are animals that come through this area. But just because you don't get it in your trap doesn't mean that they're not here. So what you want to do is, because you're only coming out here for a certain number of days, or doesn't mean that the animals are going to go through your trap. So what I've noticed here is that there is animals and that they have been here recently, because you can see here that there is animal scat. It is dried out and stuff, but when you open it up you can see that it's green, so you know that the animal has been here within the past couple of days. So this means that there is animal movement through here due to your observations. Just because you don't get it in your traps does not mean that they aren't there. So you need to be aware of other signs of animals to be able to put that into your data. And so I may not get a track in my data, but I know that there's animals here due to this.